All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 24th day of September, 2018. Well, tonight is the full moon, and I'll be out doing something, I don't know what yet. Maybe some kind of ritual for, I don't know, healing, maybe. I'm going to do today a little bit different than I usually do. Usually I'll draw a card, maybe two, and then I'll do a rune, maybe two runes. But today I want to talk about a 6-card reading I did and I posted on the blog yesterday. It's called Higher Self Influences. Let's see, what I call it? Higher Self Influences, Sunday Tarot, 23 September 2018. And what I did is oftentimes when I do my own readings, I'll use a 6-card spread. And I'll put 3 at the top, and those are general influences, and 2 on the next level, and that'll be projective and receptive, or masculine and feminine influences, discussing polarity, in other words. And then the last card at the bottom would be the outcome. Well, when I did that, I ended up drawing 5 cards from the major arcana, followed by the Ace of Swords. So I thought, well, that's interesting. Spirit's informing a new idea or a new perspective on something. And so I played around with it a little bit. I started interpreting it, and then I decided to change how I had it visually. And so instead of having the 3 on the top, the 2, and the 1, I put all 5 majors on the top with the Ace of Swords below it. And essentially, how I interpreted that, when I saw it that way, I had the wheel in the center of the 5 cards. And so you could kind of see a progression. You had the Emperor, which, depending on how the Emperor manifests, if they're ill-dignified, then they're not, they're authoritarian and whatnot. Instead of being, benevolent and reasonable and determined and looking at things with realistic eyes. If they get off kilter, well, who knows? But then we moved to the Lovers card. Well, I'll just show you. I have it actually sitting out here. We had the Emperor. So you can see how stern he looks. And I mean, as long as he's benevolent, then he does fine. It's when he gets out of whack that, you never know what he's going to do. But then we had the Lovers, which discusses polarity. It also discusses how we see ourselves in others, not only our own inner polarity, but how we interact in a balanced fashion with others and how we see the self in others. If you look at the notion, as I do, that all of this is source expressing itself, or the creator expressing itself into form, well, then everything is the creator. So everything now is just a matter of how do we remember all of that, right? Well, unfortunately, one of the ways that we're learning about all of that is expressions of polarity, and that's where the Lovers came in. And then we came to the Wheel of Fortune, which is all about cycles. It's also about, success and completion, and you've done well for yourself and profit and all of that. But it's also about the wheel turning. And so cycles. All right. So after I saw the Emperor and the Lovers, and then I saw the next one being the Wheel of Fortune, then I started thinking about endings and beginnings. And if a new idea is coming into play, if we're going to explore a new thought process or manifest new thinking, then maybe these 2 things are what we were dealing with maybe out of control polarity. Maybe this is about patriarchy and the suppression of women. We're talking all the time now about, this Supreme Court nomination and how it's brought up all the other stuff with the Me Too movement. Sexual assault is coming out, sexual abuse is coming out, and we're talking about it all the time now. People are coming out and saying, I'm a survivor. And for some, it's the first time. And it isn't just women, it's men as well. And today we did a walkout at 10 o'clock our time. Here we're in Oregon, and so we did it at 10. We did our walk at 10 and wore black, and in honor of the whole family of survivors out there that I belong to, certainly. And to support. Oh, there went my light on my deal there. But anyway, that's you have to wonder: is there a shift? Is something going, to change here? Maybe in terms of how we see all of this. That no, sexual assault is sexual assault. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter who you are. If you do that, that's a crime, whether you completed the dirty deed or not. Franklin Graham, good Lord, who are you? Anyhow, then after, because then see, when I arranged these cards this way, and I had the change and the new beginnings and the endings and beginnings with cycles and all of that, then I had the Fool. All right, the Fool came next, and that's undeveloped potential. So this could go anywhere, couldn't it? And then I ended with the Devil, which is about how we imprison ourselves within the ego. It's when ego informs over spirit. We forget and we feel somehow we're chained to our experiences here, but we're not. We drive the experiences here. We aren't chained by them. So then we come to the Ace of Swords, which is, new thought, new beginnings, new ideas. So in a sense, maybe I'm a little biased because, of my own experiences here, but it just seems to me that what we have is old giving way to the new, with a reminder of where we need to place our focus. So then, that was yesterday. Today, I was watching the news while I was waiting to go on the walk, and I decided to do another 6-card spread. Sometimes I do that when I'm watching things, and I'll see what comes up, especially if it's something that I find, upsetting, or if we're not sure what's going on, And so I'll throw some cards down just to see what they say. And so this is what I got. I started out with the King of Pentacles, And the King of Pentacles, again, like the Emperor, self-disciplined, but more focused on tradition and respect for others, responsibility. He's steadfast. He's industrious. Okay. Let me set that right there. And then I pulled 4 cards from the Major Arcana. Yesterday it was 5. Today it's 4. I pulled Judgment. Okay, and which I hate that name. I like newer decks because, like the Druid crap, they call it Rebirth. Crowley calls his the Eon. I think maybe some others have borrowed that name possibly, but at least they borrow Rebirth. Because really, it's not about judgment. It's about what we realize. Okay, awakening, a change in consciousness. So you see where this is going, maybe. And then I drew the Magician. We're talking about manifested will, manifested change, having the alchemical ability to see beyond, right? And then I pulled Strength. The marriage of the wild with the civilized, right? Integrity. The power of the goddess within. Interesting card to draw right now, isn't it? When we talk about sexual assault of women and of men and of children by men who seem to cultivate this within themselves, yes? But here we have intelligence and compassion, don't we? We're going to need a lot of that, aren't we, going forward? And then we end with the Hanged Man. Surrender. Letting go of preconceived notions. We're going to need to do that, aren't we? If we're going to come and manifest those new ideas of maybe respect for other people and not trying to, protect somebody that doesn't deserve our protection. Instead, we need to be protecting the victims, don't you think? Instead of making it so difficult for them to come forward, for any of us to come forward. I know what that's like. I know what it's like. There went my light again. The last card I drew, instead of the Ace of Swords, I drew the Page of Pentacles. Again, another Earth card. We started with the King of Pentacles, which denotes a little bit different shift, doesn't it, from the Emperor? Because we're not sure about that guy. You know, he may be somebody that's unwilling to even bend. He may be somebody that can't, see beyond the nose of his face because the only thing that exists is what's in his head. He can't see anything else. Now, the King of Pentacles isn't so much like that. He's concerned with taking care of people. He holds the pentacle on his lap, but it's not because he's, somebody that's only concerned with his own legacy. No, he's concerned with the legacy of the entire kingdom. He's concerned with everyone doing well. And so here, instead of the Ace of Swords like I drew yesterday, I've got the Page of Pentacles. But again, like the Fool from yesterday, we're also looking at undeveloped potential. So this could go anywhere if we would only let it, right? I think we are on the precipice of something else taking hold now. I think that it's almost like we have gone so far in the direction of the obscene that it's even entering the committee rooms of Congress. So I don't know why we had to do all this, but apparently we need to see what this is. We evidently can't figure it out any other way, which is ridiculous. We have people running for office that allegedly stalk girls in malls. But that's okay, isn't it? And now we have a guy who wants to be on the Supreme Court, belonging to secret societies that engage in this debauchery and this rape culture. Should be an automatic disqualification if you've been in one of those clubs, shouldn't it? Why would we ever trust that man? Why would we? We can't. I mean, you don't have to know anything. And unfortunately, it's all coming out now. Now you can say, oh, they're lying. Well, I don't think so. Why would, look, I don't know any survivor that would invite something like this, where you're going to go and you're going to testify in front of Congress. You're going to tell the world something like this at a time like this. You don't invite that shit on you. Good God. It just doesn't happen. So, that's not what's going on here. We need to hear these people. We need to listen to what they have to say. They're describing something. They're describing a pattern of behavior. Now, okay, yeah, 6 different, security investigations. Well, how do we know what they found? Maybe no one told us. Maybe they looked the other way. I have no idea what happened. Maybe the people they interviewed didn't tell the truth. We don't know, do we? I would think that a lot of this behavior no one wants to talk about, so why would they? They're not going to stop their buddy from getting a high-ranking position. Why would they? They might need him later on. So we don't know what happened. People make these pronouncements. We don't know. But I just thought it was odd that 2 tarot readings in a row and this happens. Where I get is, even though the King of Pentacles isn't a major card, it's still a court card, and it's real similar to, it's just an expression possibly of the Emperor, right? So there was such a synchronicity. It's almost like yesterday's sort of described the problem and then what could happen, that we're in a moment of change. I mean, we just went through the equinox, on Saturday. And so we're in that moment of balance. And now we're on the full moon. So a lot of this really doesn't surprise me that we're kind of in this transition period in our whole experience here. But when I saw this synchronicity between these two readings, I just wanted to share them with you. I don't know. It just feels like that was yesterday was what I defined what it was and what it could be, at least in its genesis. And now here's what it can look like and what it's going to take to get there. Letting go of preconceived notions, invoking our will for something better, collectively, using the strength within to find that balance and that harmony together, to be able to look at the shadow side of self and say, you know what, that's really not working anymore, is it? Let's put our attention over here to something better. And then we have the Hanged Man, don't we? Where we surrender to all of it and just say, we got to let all this go now. We have to move in a different direction. And the Page of Pentacles is all about creating a new foundation. So anyway, food for thought. Go over to the blog if you like. I'd love you to check it out. And there's some stuff on there in the last few days that I've put up, but the 6-card reading from yesterday is kind of long, but it shows you the process of how I got to what I got. And anyway, that's over at imsteppingaside.com. And in any event, hopefully we're going to get to some resolution with all of this nightmare that's going on. If you were able to go out and do the walkout today, good for you. If you couldn't, well, I'm sure you were there in spirit. And I read a thing online where it said that it was either on the trains or the subways, where there's a whole bunch of women wearing black, because we're all wearing black today, right, for the walkout. And someone made the remark, well, it's either folks going to the walkout or it's just another day in New York City. I don't know. But I thought that was funny. We're all a family, aren't we? Survivors. We're here for each other. Even if we don't know each other, we belong to a family of people that have made it through however they have, and they're here to tell their stories and to raise their voices and to rise up and to say enough and to say no more. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside. You have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow, and blessed be.